I am Grady.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Charisse.
And welcome to Highlights, a show where we recap a reality competition show, usually a drag one, like it's sports, even though it's not. This season, we are covering the 14th season of RuPaul's Drag Race. And wow, this was a rough episode to get through. And I'm very shocked at the way things went. And there's a lot to break down. Previously on Drag Race, last week's episode was Snatch Game, which of course is everybody's favorite episode of Drag Race. It's almost like the playoffs, right, of the Super Bowl. It's kind of where the true frontrunners begin to emerge in the competition. The episode begins with a mini challenge sponsored by Bubbly. And true to the brand, the queens have to do another photo shoot, but this time they have to make outfits out of bubble wrap, which went as expected. I will say. That being said, Bosco, here dressed as Aquaria for Halloween, won the mini challenge and got another $2,500 into her little savings account, which is good for her.
I always like the challenges where they can make an outfit out of like nothing or just like regular materials.
Very quickly too.
Bosco's was not my favorite look though. I thought it was good.
Not mine either.
But it wasn't my favorite. I really thought Angeria's was. I actually thought Deja Sky's was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Bosco uses this kind of outfit a lot, both on the runway and I feel like in mini challenge designs.
Yep.
So it just kind of read as very on brand for her, and I wasn't that impressed. I mean, I probably could have made something like that, so it's cool that she made it, but it wasn't my favorite.
I do love the mini challenges. I love some quick drag. I really like to see which queen finds what important and how they find a way around not doing certain parts of their makeup, but still looking really well put together for some reason.
Right.
Like there are certain queens that in certain seasons, I'm like, wow, you did that in half an hour? I can't even do that in half an hour. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So for me, I'm way more impressed by the mini challenges, by what they can do in such a short amount of time as far as getting ready and styling out an outfit. Like Zach said, with unconventional materials, always my favorite.
Yeah.
I look forward to these.
Okay, so I just want to dive right in, to be honest with you. So there was a walkthrough, there was all of that. All of that ended up meaning nothing anyway, though, because everybody bombed this challenge. Spoiler alert, except for one person. And so I just want to go right to it and just do a general conversation where we can just throw all of our feelings about this on the table, because I honestly don't know where else to even begin, because this went off the rails as soon as it left the station. And it was really rough to watch. For Snatch Game, just for prep, we had Willow as Drew Barrymore, Bosco as Gwyneth Paltrow, Georges as Alina Glazer, Diabetti as Ozzy Osbourne, Angeria as Tammy Brown, Jasmine Kennedy as Betsy DeVos, Lady Camden as William Shakespeare, and Deja Sky as Lil Jon, which on paper actually sounded really good. Right? Except for a couple that I probably wouldn't have chosen. But this had all the ingredients, especially with the people who chose these characters, to be a phenomenal Snatch Game. So what the hell happened? It was really hard to watch. This will probably go down in history as the worst Snatch Game in history. Even worse than the very first one, which was actually pretty rough because nobody had ever done it before and nobody knew what they were doing, except for Tatiana, who was able to lean into it, even though she felt lost, awkward, and confused because she was playing Britney, who at the time often came off as awkward, lost, and confused. But yeah, thoughts? What happened?
This was so rough. Like you said, on paper, all of this should have gone off perfectly. We should have had some really big hitters, and no one that I thought was going to do really well did well at all. I'm really happy that Deja Sky's Lil Jon did really well. And that was a really, really smart choice for her. But yeah, I was really disappointed. I really thought William Shakespeare was going to do really, really well. I was really excited to see that. I was really excited to see Angeria's Tammy Brown, but that just nothing landed right, and it was very boring and hard to watch.
So overall, before we get into individuals, again, this is like the highlight of the season. And I feel like this entire season has no peaks and valleys. We are just on this flat walking path. And as an audience member, it is the most boring scenery I have ever seen. I was expecting a roller coaster because that's what Drag Race always is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a roller coaster. It plays with my feelings in the same way that Dragula did. You know, there are no peaks and valleys to this season, and I'm not quite sure if it was casting or not that I want the queens to fight or expect the queens to fight. That's not the drama that I'm looking for as an audience member. Let me just throw that out there. I am really happy for Deja Sky and her win. We'll say that. However, I am wondering if on any other season, because I don't know what the Snatch Game would have looked like if it had gone well, if she had won on any other season playing Little John.
100% agree with you.
But in addition to her doing so well, everyone did so poorly that elevated her so much more above the rest of the room. Individually, I was like, what is happening? Train wreck after, like, please make this stop, train wreck.
Yeah. What happened for Deja Sky is really everybody's dream for Snatch Game, is that everybody else will bomb and that by default, you're just A-okay no matter what happens, right? And I'm not going to sit here and claim that I could probably easily do Snatch Game. That has to be extremely challenging. I can't imagine how nervous they must be walking in there. However, especially this challenge, is not a surprise. You know, I feel like of all the challenges to prep for, this is the one people usually prep for the most and kind of get into the headspace for. And I was really surprised that some of these people performed the way they did. Just the way it went down. I don't even know.
It seems to be that there's a lack of preparation for pretty much all of them. Like all of them were just like, oh yeah, there's Snatch Game. I'll pull something out and it'll work. Like nothing beyond that.
Yeah, it was just rough. And they have Raven and Dove Cameron there, which I will say I love that their little icons were birds because they're Raven and Dove. That was cute. Anyways, just like it had to have been the most uncomfortable thing to be like a guest there of all the Snatch Games to be there to film for. Rue looked like he was struggling because they were all like they were giving him nothing, which has got to be upsetting in the moment. Even Willow, who's like his star child, he's like, you got this. I guess you don't.
Never mind.
Angeria could have gone anywhere with Tammy Brown.
Yeah.
You don't even have to say anything that Tammy Brown has already said in order to do Snatch Game as Tammy Brown.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, you can't mess this up. This is fantastic. What a great choice. Oh my gosh. Like what a great choice. Yeah.
She could have spoken tongues and they would have been like,
right,
oh, Tammy.
Exactly. But
there she is.
It basically ended up being not bad, nothing original. I was hoping for more. The end.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne, Diabetti insults me every single week as an audience member. Every single week I'm insulted in a completely different way by Diabetti. This week, it was her choice to blatantly copy everything that Bosco did. And I think that got in Bosco's head and that made Bosco not funny.
Yeah.
And it's not funny if the same person on the panel is literally saying the exact same thing that was said before. Does like, I don't know what Diabetes was thinking, but it was really bad.
It's time for the main stage. And Dove Cameron is back on the main stage as our guest judge this week. She looks cute and also like a minor. Michelle Visage looking very matronly again this week, but I like this on her. And I really love her hair this week. Carson Kressley switching it up for some white this week, looking really dapper himself. And I actually like how Rue looked this week. I liked this on her. It was kind of quintessential RuPaul. And you're right, though. I did compare the photos. Those are Raven's bracelets. She snatched them off her wrist.
I knew it.
Okay, so the runway this week was Holy Couture, and Holy is right. Holy something. Okay, wow. First up, we had Deja Skye as Joan of Arc, and my note just says hate this with like 6 S's.
Oh my gosh, mine too. It says I hate this runway.
This was awful. She got a lot of praise for this, and I guess that's because they had already decided that this had to be by default her episode and her storyline. But I really wish she had won last week because that was a much better outfit.
That was a really interesting color choice for wig. And you know, it's weird, they read Lady Camden as like looking very costumey and off the rack. This looks like something I would have picked up at Spirit.
Anyways, then we had Jasmine Kennedy, who I have to say, I actually liked her runway this week. I don't like many of them. And I don't know that the reveal and the thing she came out in, I don't know if I understand how they go together, but I like them both. And I like how she sold it this week. I'll give her that.
I thought it looked gorgeous as it was before the reveal. Like, she almost didn't need the reveal. I liked the gown as it was. And then, I mean, the reveal doesn't look terrible, but I agree with you. I don't see how they really connect. But the overcoat or the gown that goes over it is really pretty.
So I wrote down, I don't get this runway. Like, I didn't necessarily understand what was happening as far as like the two dresses and what they had to do with each other. I was really confused. I didn't necessarily hate the gown, but I liked the reveal dress more. And the more I got to see of it, I was like, oh yeah, I like that a lot.
Next, we had Ingeria, who came in this church lady outfit. And I gotta say, I mean, she looks good in it. It's pretty. I don't know that it screamed couture at me or holy couture at me or any of that. I felt this was pretty basic, honestly, for this challenge and for this runway, but she looks good.
Yeah, this could have been elevated a bit. I did like it though. I thought it was really pretty and it was a clear, concise idea. Everything went well together, but it could have been elevated a little more, made it a little more drag. But I liked it.
I definitely liked it. I thought if anybody, she was going to be safe based on her Tammy Brown and this runway. Don't get me wrong, I pretty much expected her to read this runway this way, but I appreciated her take. It was a very lovely, lovely outfit.
Then we had Willow Pill, who came out as a mushroom. I loved this. I don't know if it screamed the theme at me either, but I actually really liked the way she executed this.
Yeah, this looked really neat. And the way she described it was really editorial, but it looked really neat. Her makeup looked really cool with it. This is probably one of my favorites on the runway this week.
I totally agree with Zach. I definitely, like, at first I was like, fungus, interesting choice. You know what I mean? However, I appreciate Willow's out of the box runway thoughts every single week.
For sure.
And this definitely was so beautiful as an outfit, just all the frills and all the hanging and all the stuff. As far as Holy, fungus has holes in it. And as far as it being couture, it is absolutely a custom made garment. So I feel like it fits the assignment, even if it's a very out of the box interpretation. And that's what I appreciate about Willow Pill every single week. Every single week. Thank goodness for her.
Then we had Diabetes, who literally walked out in a Lady Gaga outfit. I thought that was a choice. I thought that was way too literal, first of all. Like, really, like, her thought process for this challenge went maybe 30 seconds. And then executing it, she fell, and not Lady Camden fell. She fell, and that was hard to recover from. She did it, kind of. She was selling it at the end, but I just couldn't forgive it.
Did you just point out another 2 instances of plagiarism from Diabetes this week? Does that make us up to 3? I can't remember. I should definitely keep a tally next week as our secretary of how many times Diabetes copies someone else.
The entire time watching it, and when she fell, all I could think of was Karma was smacking her in the face for just being a total bitch backstage.
Then we had Georges, who came as a dope pope, as Carson put it. And I loved this. I love the color combination. I think it looks great on her. However, my one note for it was that a lot of it, especially in the body section, is very much the same of what we've been getting from her. But I thought it was very safe.
Yeah, the more I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is really, really pretty. And I liked it even more, but I agree. It is the very same kind of silhouette and kind of outfit that she's brought throughout the whole competition. It's kind of like what I said about Bosco with the mini challenge.
Yep.
It's like we've seen this kind of thing on you a lot. So it takes away that wow factor because we've seen so much of it.
If this was actually a dress, if it didn't, again, what are we on, week 4 of this reminding me of lingerie? Maybe I could get past this. However, this is so expected. This is so expected, and she got so much praise from the judges for it. And I'm like, this is a bodysuit. She wore a bodysuit or a bra and panties last week, or a bodysuit or a bra and panties the week before. I'm over it. I'm over it. She has the golden candy bar. I cannot be persuaded otherwise. I'm so over this Georges BS.
Then we had Lady Camden, who didn't even try. I don't know what to say. She tried very hard in her confessional to try and explain how this relates to the prompt, and she didn't sell it for me. Not only was this it wasn't even an elevated Spice Girls look, first of all, but it had no business being out here for this week's runway, and it stands out that way really roughly for me.
For sure, this is a stretch. I don't even like the outfit. There's zero redeeming quality for this other than she can beat her face. The only thing I will say about Georges, just to backtrack just a tiny bit, that wig was everything. When she took her hat off in untucked, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, her silhouettes, the same. But yeah, Lady Camden, I don't know what she was thinking with Holy Couture. I don't know where she took this in her brain. It was the super stretch that didn't even, the gum broke before we could stretch it all the way there to make it a whole story of how this fit into Holy Couture.
See, I would have liked this for a different challenge. I agree that it doesn't fit this challenge at all, but I would have liked it for something else because I think construction wise, it's a well-made garment. It's lined, it fits her well, and she looks good in it. But I think it's so out of place in this challenge, and she did so poorly in Snatch Game that it was just very disappointing. And I really wanted her to pull out something that would bring her up for a little further.
Last but not least, we have Bosco, who came out wearing the same thing she's worn for 8 weeks. But this time under a nun habit. Yeah.
But I love it so much.
I loved it too when she came out, but then it was the more I thought about it, and I was like, okay, but what else are you gonna do?
This looks just like her bubble wrap outfit, but it's black leather.
Uh-huh.
Like this was disappointing. I like the concept of it and I like the idea of it, but as a final runway look, this was very disappointing.
I don't know, but it wasn't the worst out there. I will say.
No, not by all means, but I was not impressed.
It definitely wasn't the worst. I wish the habit and certain things had more sequins and were a little bit sparkly and like, I don't know. She could have done a little bit more with this and not necessarily ended up completely naked on stage or ended up naked at the end and kind of stripped down the way that Lady Gaga did for the camp Met Gala.
Okay, so getting into tops and bottoms of the week, pretty easy. So Deja Sky, lots of praise for her Snatch Game, was the only one who did well. In fact, Michelle Visage has launched a full investigation as she begins critiquing the contestants as to why this week went the way it did. So what we have is 1 top and 7 bottoms, which is a weird spot to be in.
But I appreciate Michelle and Dove Cameron's feedback to all of the contestants.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
not sure if Michelle watched the Snatch Game, but Dove was most definitely there. And I like it when the judge that was there or the person that was there is also a judge so that they can give feedback in real time of, yeah, it was kind of awkward. This is where you could have played off of each other. This is where those moments for, improv were available.
Yeah. So Deja Sky wins the challenge and gets $5,000 to her name. Good for her. That definitely gives her a nice little boost in stats. We'll get to that in a minute. And then for bottoms, shocking twist. And as we watched it, I was like, I would just put the rest of them up for elimination. And I was actually kind of surprised that they did just that. However, it's to be continued. So we don't actually get to see them all lip sync, but we get told that the entire next episode will be devoted to a lip sync Lollapalooza, something, whatever she called it, lip sync smackdown for all of the 7 queens in the bottom to see who's going home. Time for top tweets. Getting into the scoreboard. As always, these are the competitors we started with. Seems like so long ago, back in yesteryear. And here's who we still have left. Nobody's gone home. This has been the same for weeks. All of this has changed because everybody except Asia is now up for elimination. However, they didn't get to do anything this week, so I haven't touched it yet. I'm going to wait till they actually start battling each other next week to see how the math shakes it out for some of this stuff. But that's going to change in a big way. Challenge wins and rankings. I haven't docked anybody for being up for elimination yet, again, because we're going to deal with all of that for the entire episode next week. However, Deja Sky winning her challenge, but it boosted her all the way up to 5th place. And knocked Georges and Diabetti down to 6th and 7th place, respectively. Jasmine Kennedy is sitting in a stool stuck in concrete at 8th place. Like, it'll be interesting to see how she does in the Mega Smackdown. This week's episode is titled An Extra Special Episode because they didn't plan it. And it's because everybody's going to be lip syncing the entire episode. What I'm definitely afraid of is then going through all of it and whoever goes home has the stupid bar. And then we're once again not sending anybody home. But also once again, I want to get it over with. I'm very conflicted over it. I just want this to be over. I want the season to be over. Help me.
I hope they send 2 people home and then only one person has the bar. So at least someone still goes home.
Oh my gosh, I was totally just thinking I hope 2 people go home next week. Oh my gosh, Zach, you read my mind.
But that takes us all the way up to where we are this week, going into the Lip Sync Smackdown. For the most part, a lot of the stats are the same. Thank you, Drag Race. And poor June Jambalaya, who didn't realize she'd be missing 37 episodes, even though she got to be there for an extra 2. So with that being said, if you want to check out any of our past and ongoing coverage of season 14 of RuPaul's Drag Race, you can find that right here on PG Media. You can also follow PG Media on social media. You can find that in the description below. Subscribe today so you don't miss out on any of the content coming out in the future weeks. And as always,
thank you for watching highlights.
And we'll see you next time.